Hey, what is going on guys? How are you guys doing? I hope you guys like that intro. That's the first intro that I've ever made for this channel. You know, the channel's getting a bit bigger now, and I just thought I would spice things up a bit, and you know, make some changes around the channel. As always, I just want to thank you guys for watching these videos. This channel wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you so much for all the kind words and all the comments. I really appreciate it. So today we're going to be checking out the top 10 Resin Tifa statues that have currently been released, or released sometime soon. So I just want you guys to bear in mind that your top 10 list is probably going to be a lot different than my list. So if I don't include your favorite statue, or give a certain statue a low rank, I don't want you guys to take it personal. This video is just for a bit of fun. And yeah, we all have different opinions. So if you guys want to leave your top 10 list in the comments below, then yeah, feel free to. I would love to see your guys' lists. So yeah, let's get into the video. Okay, so at number 10, we're gonna have the RB Studio Tifa Lockhart statue. So yeah, I'm not a massive fan of this statue, but this is one of the few Tifa statues that actually have a different outfits. So I just think that's pretty unique about this piece. The initial promotional photos for the statue were pretty bad. I mean, it looked like a pretty awful statue. But I've just gotta say, the updated in-hand photos of the statue itself look much better. It looks like a completely different statue altogether. So I just think I've done a great job at really improving this piece. And it does seem to have a pretty nice sculpt. I do think we have a tiny resemblance to Tifa from the game, and it's also one of the few statues that don't have a massive base. It's a fairly small base when you compare to the other 1/4 scale statues. It's also a pretty inexpensive piece. This is by far one of the cheapest Tifa statues out there. So I mean, if you cannot afford the other statues, then I think this is a great alternative. So yeah, that is the RB Studio Tifa at number 10. So at number 9, we have the Exquisite Studio Tifa. So I know a lot of you guys may disagree with the placing of the statue in this top 10 list, but yeah, just in my opinion, I'm not really a fan of the statue. I'm sure by now you guys have probably seen the in-hand photos, and yeah, the piece did not turn out great. It looked a lot different from the original promotional photos. I have seen a couple unboxing reviews, and yeah, it doesn't look too bad in those videos, so I don't think every single one turned out so poorly. Based on the photos that I've seen, it just seemed to have had a terrible head sculpt, and I was just really not impressed with how it turned out. I do realize that the quality and the lighting is not the best in these photos, so maybe that has a factor to play in how terrible the statue looks here. But just in general, I just was not a fan of the pose of the statue. It's just way over-sexualized. I mean, if this is your type of statue, then by all means, I mean, it is a pretty nice piece. But it's just not a statue, which I would personally want to represent Tifa. So yeah, that is the Exquisite Studio Tifa. So at number 8, we have the Neoclassism Tifa. So this piece was announced quite some time ago, and yeah, it is released. It looks pretty similar to the Pink Studio Tifa, just everything about the pose and the outfits are pretty similar, and if I were to choose between those two statues, I would definitely go for the Pink Studio, which I personally think is a far superior statue. So yeah, I just really don't see any reason to pick this one up. We have had some in-hand photos of the statue itself, and I've got to say, the final product looks pretty close to the promotional photos, which is always nice to see. And I also like the fact that the statue came with 2 head sculpts. I think that was a nice touch. It just adds for a bit of variety, and I don't think any other Tifa statue is gonna come with 2 head sculpts. So yeah, this is a really nice bonus. Me personally, I just wouldn't pick up the statue, but I mean, it's a very simple piece. It's a very clean statue with the most iconic look of Tifa's outfits, so I think it's a pretty decent piece. But as I mentioned before, I would just rather pick up the Pink Studio Tifa. But yeah, I know a lot of you guys picked up this statue, and you guys seem to be pretty happy with it. So yeah, congrats on picking up this piece. So that is the Neoclassism Tifa at number 8. Like a Hellcat. Okay, so at 7th place, we have the Mayflies Studios Tifa. I think this was one of the first, if not the very first Tifa Lockhart statue that was announced last year. I just remember seeing this piece, and yeah, I think this was like the first preview video that I ever made. The promotional photos for this piece were just amazing. I just remember seeing the statue and being absolutely blown away. But I'm just super disappointed with the final in-hand product. I just don't really think the face is a close match. Something just looks off with the in-hand product. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is still a pretty nice head sculpt, but I just wish it was a closer match to the original promos. I think the body piece and the sculpting and pretty much everything else about the statue is really nicely done. I love the base and all the detailing that they've added around the statue, especially around the waist with all these potions. I mean, it's a super cool concept, and I do think the statue looks pretty good overall. I was so close to pre-ordering the statue, but you know, now I'm kinda glad that I didn't. I just think there's better Tifa statues out there to choose from, but I do think it's still a beautiful piece. and her face seems to be pretty inspired by Tifa from Advent Children, which is my all-time favorite design of Tifa. So I do have a soft spot for this statue, but with that being said, I still would not pick up this piece. I would just rather wait until they make an actual statue of Tifa from Advent Children. So yeah, I'm just gonna be patient and wait for an AC Tifa statue. Fingers crossed that they make one someday. So yeah, that is the Mayflies Studios Tifa at number 7. Okay, so next up, we have the MH Studio Tifa at number 6, and this statue was also announced quite some time ago. We haven't really seen many updates on the statue, but I do know the statue is released sometime soon, so I'm pretty sure in the next couple of weeks, we're probably going to see an update on the statue. So I've got to say, I absolutely love the in-hand photos. I think this is by far one of the best head sculpts of Tifa. I mean, bear in mind, none of these statues really look 100% like Tifa. We still haven't had a statue that looks exactly like her, but I just mean in terms of the detail and the sculpting. It's a very nice head sculpt, and I would be pretty pleased to pick up this piece. Once again, I do think it looks pretty similar to the Pink Studio Tifa, and also a bit of the Neoclassicism Tifa. These three statues in particular have always had pretty similar aspects about them, so it's just pretty funny how they all pretty much have the exact same pose. But yeah, it's one of the better Tifa head sculpts that we have seen, so I'm just really happy with this piece, and I really cannot wait to see how it turns out. So that's the MH Studio Tifa at number 6. At number 5, we have the F4 Studio Final Fantasy VII diorama display. So I wasn't going to include the statue, but you know, this is just such a nice Tifa head sculpt that I just couldn't leave it out of the list. But I don't think it's one of the best sculpts in terms of detail. We have had some in-hand photos of the statue itself, and it seems to be pretty nice. I just think the paint job looks a bit too thick. I just think if they fix the paint, the statue would look way better. So yeah, fingers crossed that the final product has much better paint. And of course, the main plus is that the statue comes in this amazing diorama with Cloud and Aerith. So yeah, it's definitely one of the statues to pick up if you're a fan of all three characters. So that is the F4 Studio at number 5. So at number 4, we have the Hero Belief Studio Tifa Lockhart statue in the bunny outfits. So yeah, even though this isn't based off any specific design of Tifa, I still think it's a really nice looking piece. The statue looks so crisp and clean, and so nicely painted, and the sculpt is just super sharp. So I do think it is an in-hand photo. But of course, as we all know, the final product is never gonna turn out this close. I mean, it is a pretty sexualized piece. And as I mentioned before, I don't personally like to buy these statues to represent the character, but I just think this is such a nice piece that I just had to include it pretty high up in the list. And if the final statue turns out anything close to these promotional photos, then that's just gonna be amazing. As I've mentioned many times in previous videos, which you guys have pointed out, I always mention that this is one of the best sculpts that I've seen of Tifa, but I really do believe that in this case. It's just such a nice sculpt, and I love what they've done here. So yeah, that is the Hero Belief Studio at number 4. The girls with their nails done now. Okay, so moving on here. We're getting pretty close to number 1. I'm sure most of you guys can probably guess what's going to be my number 1 pick. But here on number 3, we have the Greenleaf Studios Tifa Lockhart. And I'm actually really tempted to pre-order this piece. I told myself that I was only going to pick up one Tifa statue, but I'm just so impressed with what Greenleaf Studios have done here that I may actually pre-order this statue as well. I just love the head sculpts. I know some of you guys don't like it. Some of you guys said that you think she looks old, and that it looks like a person cosplaying Tifa. And yeah, while I do agree that it doesn't look 100% like Tifa, I mean, as I mentioned before, none of these statues are ever going to look exactly like her, but I do think that they've done a pretty good job here. I especially love what they've done at the sculpting on the body. I just think it looks super realistic, so I can't show the cast off photos, but if you guys look them up, they've just done such a great job at the anatomy. The only thing that I don't like about the statue is the fact that we have this alternate display piece with these ropes. I just think this is super weird and really unnecessary. I would be just as happy if the figure did not come with this. The statue is fine the way it looks here, and yeah, I just don't think that we need these pieces. So yeah, overall, it's a great statue with some pretty unnecessary accessories. And yeah, that's pretty much all I'm gonna say. I really love this piece a lot, especially that head sculpt. So that is why it's taking 3rd place. Okay, so in 2nd place, we have the Exquisite Studio Tifa, based on her wall market appearance in her blue dress. So yeah, this is just an amazing statue, which we also seen quite some time ago. I think it was back in summer, so yeah, it's been quite a number of months now. But yeah, I mean, just what can I say? I just love everything about this piece, from the head sculpt to the dress, and of course the display base, which is hands down the most beautiful base out of all these resin statues. And the fact that the lantern actually lights up is just such an added bonus. So yeah, really beautiful base. It actually has a pretty good resemblance to how she looked in the remake. So I just think they've done a super good job here. And if the in-hand product looks close to these promos, then I think this is going to be one of the best statues in terms of accuracy. I just love how they painted her eyes. Some of the other statues just don't seem to paint the eyes right, but I think with this statue in particular, they've really nailed this. So I just think no matter what, this is going to be a very promising piece. And yeah, I do know a lot of you guys out there do have this piece on pre-order. So yeah, congrats guys, this is going to be a really amazing statue for sure. So I just can't wait to see how it turns out. And I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it looks as good as these promotional photos. So that is the Exquisite Studio Tifa in second place. And so finally we're here at number 1. I mean, you guys guessed this. It's the Pink Studio Final Fantasy VII Remake Tifa Lockhart statue. I mean, what other statue was it gonna be? If you guys have been following my videos for a while, you guys will know that I absolutely love the statue. I've only got good things to say about this piece, and it's the only Tifa statue which I've actually got on pre-order. I don't know what it is about this piece, but I just love it so much. It's such a simple yet clean design, and it's based off her iconic outfit, which for me is just perfect. While the head sculpt still doesn't look exactly like Tifa, I just love the style of it, and it's a very visually appealing sculpt. So I just love what they've done here, and I think this is by far the best Tifa statue out there. And yeah, I just knew as soon as I seen this piece, I just had to pre-order it. The original promotional photos were just amazing. I think these photos are pretty much what sold everyone on this piece. I really don't think any other Tifa statue is gonna beat this Pink Studio Tifa. This is just such a flawless piece, and I just cannot wait to finally have it. So yeah guys, that is my list for my top 10 Final Fantasy VII Tifa Lockhart resin statues. So what do you guys think of my list? Do you guys like it? And do you dislike it? And of course, feel free to leave your own top 10 list in the comments below. I would love to hear your guys' opinions. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm gonna have a lot more Final Fantasy VII videos on the way. So if you guys like this, then be sure to hit that bell notification so you guys don't miss out on these videos. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, stay safe, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Alright, have a good one guys.